It's 3 a.m. Your body feels like lead, but your brain is still running a marathon. You want to sleep, but your brain simply won't let you. If this feels like your nightly reality, you aren't alone. Up to 50% of people with ADHD struggle with this same exhaustion. If you're tired of the 3 a.m. struggle, hit that like button and subscribe. We're here to help you get the rest you deserve. Why does the ADHD brain sabotage its own rest? It starts with a chemical leak. ADHD brains have a high density of dopamine transporters that act like vacuums, removing dopamine before the brain can sustain focus. By nightfall, the brain is starved for stimulation, leading to late-night scrolling or new hobbies as an attempt to self-manufacture dopamine. This delays your circadian rhythm and causes you to miss the brain's critical chemical reset window. For more deep dives into how neurobiology affects your daily life, subscribe to the channel. To understand why the brain sabotages its own rest, we have to look at the baseline chemical deficit it faces during the day. In this neural synapse, the ADHD brain has a higher density of dopamine transporters. These act like vacuums, clearing dopamine out far too quickly. Because it's sucked away prematurely, the receiving side flickers, and the prefrontal cortex never receives a sustained signal to maintain focus. This chemical leak leaves the brain starved for stimulation. To stay functional, it requires constant, high-intensity novelty to generate enough dopamine to bridge that gap. By the time night falls, running on empty for 16 hours to compensate for that deficit, it begins an intense novelty hunt. This leads to revenge bedtime procrastination. Late-night scrolling or hyper-focusing on a new hobby is the brain's attempt to manufacture dopamine it lacked today. The physiological fallout is immediate. The flood of blue light removes the natural cue for sleep, forcing the already delayed circadian rhythm even further into the night. This search for stimulation forces the brain to skip its maintenance window, leaving the body without the time to reset its chemical baseline. Then, the morning alarm rings, the physical crash hits, and the true biological toll of that missed sleep window sets in. Sleep is the only time the nervous system can rebuild its dopamine infrastructure and sensitive receptor sites for the next day. Missing that critical sleep. The result is a feedback loop where it becomes impossible to separate the baseline neurodivergence from the effects of chronic exhaustion. Breaking this loop requires more than willpower. The neurological circuit has to be actively and chemically reset. The first intervention is environmental. Managing evening blue light exposure removes the signal that tells the brain to stay awake, allowing the circadian rhythm to begin its reset. The brain also requires specific raw materials. Without these, the nervous system cannot transition from a state of hyper-arousal to one of rest. Magnesium is a primary tool for this reset. It calms the hyper-aroused nervous system, and supplementation is often necessary because stimulant medications can deplete the body's natural supply. Melatonin serves as the circadian regulator, while correcting internal iron and zinc deficiencies can stop the restless leg movements that physically disrupt sleep throughout the night. Prescribing medication for daytime focus provides little benefit if the underlying nighttime biology remains dysregulated. When we treat sleep as a primary component of ADHD management, the brain finally gets the recovery it needs.